Imagine you are holding a wireframe teapot in a dark room. You shine a flashlight on it, casting a flat, two-dimensional shadow on the opposite wall. If you hold the teapot at a random angle, the shadow is a meaningless, tangled mess of black lines. Rotate the teapot just right, and suddenly the teapot's handle, spout, and body appear in perfect, recognizable silhouette. You have successfully reduced a three-dimensional object into a two-dimensional representation, yet you have preserved its most essential, defining features. In the world of data science, this is not just a clever visual trick, it is the core philosophy behind principal component analysis, or PCA. We live in a world overflowing with complex, high-dimensional datasets. To understand them, we must learn how to find the perfect angles to view the shadows they cast. When you work with machine learning, you will regularly encounter datasets with dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of variables. Visualizing this data directly is physically impossible, and training models on it leads to severe computational bottlenecks. This challenge is known as the curse of dimensionality. To overcome it, we use dimensionality reduction, and PCA is the undisputed gold standard. In this video, we will peel back the mathematical layers to reveal the geometric beauty of PCA. We'll explore how centering our data sets the stage, how projecting points is like measuring shadows, and how the linear algebra of covariance matrices and eigenvectors finds the absolute best angles to view our data. By the end, you will not only understand the core equations of PCA, but you will also see how they translate to physical rotations in space, giving you a powerful, intuitive grasp that is perfect for machine learning interviews and real-world engineering. Curse of dimensionality is a silent killer in data science. As the number of features in a dataset grows, the volume of space increases exponentially. This causes our data points to become highly isolated, making patterns, clusters, and boundaries incredibly difficult to detect. If you lose a coin on a one-dimensional line, finding it is easy. If you lose it on a two-dimensional floor, it takes a bit more time. But if that coin is floating somewhere in a three-dimensional room, the search space is vastly larger. Now imagine a room with 100 dimensions. In high-dimensional space, data points are so far apart that they all seem like outliers, and traditional algorithms struggle to find any structure. To simplify this space, PCA begins with a critical preprocessing step, centering the data. Before we project our data points, we must calculate the average value for each feature and subtract it from every single data point. Let's look at a concrete numerical example. Suppose we have a tiny dataset of 3 individuals, measuring their height in centimeters and their weight in kilograms. Subject 1 has a height of 180 centimeters, a weight of 80 kilograms, a centered height of 10 centimeters, and a centered weight of 10 kilograms. Subject 2 has a height of 160 centimeters, a weight of 60 kilograms, a centered height of negative 10 centimeters, and a centered weight of negative 10 kilograms. Subject 3 has a height of 170 centimeters, a weight of 70 kilograms, a centered height of 0 centimeters, and a centered weight of 0 kilograms. The mean height of our subjects is 170 centimeters, and the mean weight is 70 kilograms, which gives a centered mean height of 0 centimeters and a centered mean weight of 0 kilograms. Centering the data does not change the relative distance between the points. It simply shifts the coordinate system. Let x sub I, which is an element of the real numbers in d dimensions, be a raw data vector. The centered vector is defined as x sub I is replaced by x sub I minus mu. Here mu, which is an element of the real numbers in d dimensions, is the sample mean vector, defined as mu equals 1 divided by n times the sum of x sub I from I equals 1 to n. If we center a dataset of heights and weights with mu equals the transposed vector 170, 70, a point at the transposed vector 180, 80 becomes the transposed vector 10, 10, and the new mean of the dataset becomes exactly the transposed vector 0, 0. Geometrically, centering forces the origin of our new coordinate system, 0, 0, to lie at the exact center of gravity of the data cloud. This simplifies the math, ensuring that our subsequent projections pass directly through the heart of the data. Once the data is centered, our goal is to find a lower dimensional subspace, like a line or a plane, to project our data onto. Let's start by trying to find the single best line. We can represent the direction of this line using a unit vector, which we will call W. Because it is a unit vector, its length is constrained to 1. When we project a centered data point x sub I onto this unit vector W, we are looking for the coordinate of that point along the line. This is calculated using the vector dot product. The scalar projection z sub I of a centered data point x sub I onto a unit vector direction W is given by z sub I equals x sub I transpose times W. Here, W, which is an element of the real numbers in d dimensions, satisfies the unit length constraint. W transpose times W equals the L2 norm of W squared, which equals 1. Our centered point is x sub I equals the transpose vector 10, 10, and we project it onto a diagonal line represented by w equals the transpose vector 1 divided by the square root of 2, 1 divided by the square root of 2. The projected coordinate is z sub I equals 10 times 1 divided by the square root of 2 plus 10 times 1 divided by the square root of 2, which simplifies to 20 divided by the square root of 2, or approximately 14. But how do we choose the direction w? Which direction is the absolute best? In PCA, the best direction is defined as the one that maximizes the spread, or variance, of the projected coordinates. Imagine our 2D data points form a long diagonal oval. If we project these points onto a line that runs perpendicular to the oval's long axis, all the projected points will collapse into a tight, overlapping cluster near zero. The shadow has no spread. We have lost almost all the information about how the points differ from one another. However, if we project them onto a line that runs parallel to the long axis, the projected points are widely spread out. The differences between the points are preserved. Mathematically, because the mean of our centered data is 0, the mean of our projection z sub I will also be 0. The sample variance of the projected points, which we will call sigma squared sub z, is therefore sigma squared sub z equals 1 divided by n minus 1 times the sum of z sub I squared from I equals 1 to n. Substituting z sub I equals x sub I transpose times w into this equation allows us to express the variance in terms of our original data and the direction vector. The equation is sigma squared sub z equals 1 divided by n minus 1 times the sum of the quantity x sub I transpose times w squared. This is equivalent to 1 divided by n minus 1 times the sum of the quantity w transpose times x sub I times the quantity x sub I transpose times w. Factoring out w, we get w transpose times the quantity, 1 divided by n minus 1, times the sum of x sub I times x sub I transposed, all times w. Term inside the parentheses is the definition of the sample covariance matrix, S. Therefore, the variance along any direction w is simply w transpose times S times w. The covariance matrix S is a symmetric matrix that summarizes the relationships between all our features. The diagonal elements represent the variance of each individual feature, while the off-diagonal elements represent the covariance between different features. Measuring how they change together tells us that the principal components we are looking for are simply the eigenvectors of the covariance matrix. We left multiply both sides of S times W equals lambda times W by W transposed. We get W transpose times S times W equals W transpose times the quantity lambda times W, which equals lambda times the quantity W transpose times W, which simplifies to lambda. The variance of the projected data along the direction W is exactly equal to the eigenvalue lambda. Therefore, to maximize the variance, we must choose the eigenvector associated with the largest eigenvalue. This is our first principal component, which we call PC1. The second principal component, or PC2, is the eigenvector corresponding to the second largest eigenvalue, and it is guaranteed to be orthogonal to the first. Now that we have computed our principal components, how do we actually perform dimensionality reduction? We start by sorting our eigenvectors in descending order based on their eigenvalues. The eigenvalues represent the amount of variance, or information, captured along each axis. By analyzing the proportion of total variance explained by each principal component, we can decide how many dimensions to discard. Let's look at a typical variance analysis for a three-dimensional dataset. Principal component 1 has an eigenvalue of 4, 50, explaining 75% of the variance, with a cumulative variance of 75%. Principal component 2 has an eigenvalue of 1, 20, explaining 20% of the variance, with a cumulative variance of 95%. Principal component 3 has an eigenvalue of 0, 30, explaining 5% of the variance, with a cumulative variance of 100%. In this scenario, if we discard PC3, we reduce our dataset from 3 dimensions to 2, while retaining 95% of the original information. We have successfully compressed the data, removing the noise captured by the tiny variance of PC3. While the covariance method is mathematically elegant, it is rarely how computers calculate PCA in practice. For large datasets, computing the covariance matrix, which is S equals 1 divided by n minus 1 times x transpose times x, can be computationally expensive and numerically unstable. If our data has large values or many features, squaring the matrix can lead to catastrophic numerical precision loss. Instead, modern machine learning libraries use singular value decomposition, or SVD. Singular value decomposition factorizes our centered data matrix X directly. X equals U times sigma times V transposed. Here u, which is an element of the real numbers of dimension n by n, and v, which is an element of the real numbers of dimension d by d, are orthogonal matrices containing the left and right singular vectors, and sigma, which is an element of the real numbers of dimension n by d, contains the singular values sigma sub I along its diagonal. The right singular vectors, which are the columns of V, are mathematically identical to the eigenvectors of x transpose times x. The singular values, sigma sub I, are directly related to the eigenvalues of the covariance matrix by lambda sub I equals sigma sub I squared divided by n minus 1. By using SVD, algorithms can compute the principal components directly from X without ever forming the covariance matrix, making the process much faster and far more stable. Principal component analysis is a masterclass in how linear algebra can simplify our view of the world. By shifting our data center, calculating its covariance, and finding the eigenvectors that maximize variance, PCA takes a chaotic, high-dimensional cloud and projects it onto a clean, low-dimensional surface. It finds the absolute best angle to view the shadows of our data. Whether you are compressing images, removing noise from sensor data, or preparing features for a machine learning model, PCA is an essential tool in your data science toolkit. If you found this visual journey through PCA helpful, hit the like button, subscribe for more intuitive breakdowns of machine learning concepts, and share this video with anyone prepping for their next data science interview. Keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next one.